Hello friends, today, I'm going to recap the new Spring 2023 anime called Demon Slayer Season 3, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Swordsmith Village Arc, Episode 2. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Behind the trees in the forest, Tanjiro worriedly watches a young child yell at the Miss Hashira, proclaiming that he wouldn't hand over his key and won't tell him how to use it. Thinking that it's rude to eavesdrop, Muichiro suddenly strikes and grips the boy, much to Tanjiro's horror as he races over to help the young boy and tries to free him from Muichiro's grip. Tanjiro asks the Hashira to let the boy go, but Muichiro hesitates. Despite having a smaller and thinner body than Tanjiro, Muichiro does not budge and asks for Tanjiro to release his hold. He then quickly punches him in the stomach, causing him to drop to the floor. He then starts calling him weak, saying that Demon Slayer Corps have gotten weak as they allowed the weakling like him to join it. The Hashira senses a demon presence in Tanjiro's box, and when he decides to check it, Tanjiro slaps his hand away, telling him to not ever touch it. He then frees the boy from his grip and starts asking about whether he's okay or not. The boy then told Muichiro that he will never hand over the key to him even if he tried to torture him. Muichiro tells him that torture training is something even grown-ups can't take it. Since he's a child, he won't last. He insults the boy, stating that a Hashira's time is worth far more than the time spent by the other people, and since swordsmiths can't fight, they can't save lives. They are only good at making swords since they don't know anything else, and asks the boy again to hand over the key. Tanjiro, annoyed at his words, slaps his hand again and tells him that he was too cruel to the child. When asked about this, Tanjiro tells him that his words are true, but being a swordsmith is also an important vital job. Further explaining that swordsmiths have amazing skills that are different than theirs, and if they don't make swords for the Demon Slayer Corps, then the Corps couldn't do anything. He also says that swordmen and swordsmiths need each other since they are battling the same battle. Annoyed at his speech, Muichiro cuts him off and hits him in the neck, knocking him out cold. While unconscious, Tanjiro notices Haganazuka's presence, who was asking the young boy to look after him, but the latter runs off as soon as Tanjiro begins to regain consciousness. After picking himself up, Tanjiro excitedly inquires whether Haganazuka was just there or not, but the boy nervously denies it. The boy also reveals that he gave the key to Muichiro, in which Tanjiro apologizes for intervening as it wasn't his place to. The boy then thanked the Demon Slayer for standing up to the Hashira in order to defend a complete stranger. The two converse, and the boy informs Tanjiro about the key's use, which is to operate a deteriorating mechanical doll that had been built by his ancestors and was used for swordsmen to train. In the middle of their conversation, the two suddenly hear loud sounds. The boy leads Tanjiro over to where Muichiro is intensely training with the battle doll, telling him that the name of the mechanical doll is Yoruichi Type 0. While watching Muichiro train against the mechanical doll, Tanjiro looks at the doll's face and ponders the idea that he has seen it before. He asks the young boy why the doll had 6 arms, to which he is told that as it was modeled after a real swordsman, and the doll's 6 arms were necessary to imitate his movements. Tanjiro tries to push for more information, but the boy apologizes and states he didn't know much else, besides that it originated in the Sengoku period. Surprised, Tanjiro notes how that must mean Yoruichi Type 0 is over 300 years old, and even so, it still hadn't been destroyed. The boy replies that his ancestors were able to construct the doll at a level that couldn't be accomplished again at the present time. Despite being the heir of the great swordsmith, he even can't endure its durability, and wouldn't be able to fix it himself, especially without the aid of his late father, stating that he doesn't possess the knowledge or skills to do so. Hearing this, Tanjiro understands the reasoning behind his resolve to not hand over the key to someone that could potentially break the doll. The two observe Muichiro for a while longer, and Tanjiro admires the Hashira's uncanny degree of skill, despite being of similar age. Muichiro's Kasugai Crows chips in and loudly praises her master's abilities, referring to him as a descendant of the sun-breathing users and a genius completely different from Tanjiro. Amazed at his bloodline heritage, Tanjiro curiously inquires why Muichiro wasn't able to use the sun-breathing, but gets received an angry assault from the crow to his cheek. While he is being attacked by her, Tanjiro suddenly remembers the dream he had and how the swordsman he saw had a face that matched that of the doll's. Hearing his words, the crow stops and grumpily questions the logic behind his words, given how the swordsman was from so long ago. The young boy pitches in, proposing that perhaps it was a memory that was passed on, revealing that he's been told on his village that people don't just inherit physical forms from their ancestors, but also their memories too, suggesting that it may be similar to what Tanjiro was experiencing. The crow thinks of this idea as nonsense but is cut off as Tanjiro introduces himself to the boy, and the boy introduces himself as Kotetsu. Suddenly, the group hears a sound and witness Muichiro destroying parts of the doll, with pieces of its armor flying away. Devastated at the sight, Kotetsu runs away to the forest, and Tanjiro followed him. He asks Kotetsu to show himself up or otherwise he will find him since he's got a great sense of smell. Tanjiro then finds Kotetsu hiding in a tree, crying over the broken doll. Tanjiro attempts to motivate him by saying he'll eventually be able to improve and fix it, in which Kotetsu replies that he is too pathetic to do so. Tanjiro climbs up the tree and flicks Kotetsu as a method of snapping him back into reality, exclaiming how he had to make the effort and develop the skills so that even if he wasn't able to fix Yoichi Type 0, the generations after him would. Tanjiro compares his struggle with Kotetsu's, affirming that even if he dies before he is able to accomplish his goals, including killing Muzan and turn his demon sister back to human, someone else will eventually be able to do so in his place so long as the framework is set. Cheered up, Kotetsu and Tanjiro conclude to determinedly work hard together. While they chat during a walk through the forest, they encounter Muichiro again, who expresses that the training was helpful. However, his sword broke, so he will be taking one of the doll's swords. He tosses the broken sword indifferently to Tanjiro, asking him to discard it. Although confused by the swordsman's attitude, Tanjiro notes he lacked a malicious aura and likely wasn't acting rudely on purpose. A storm brews overhead as Tanjiro rushes to Kotetsu, who appears aloof while staring at the broken doll in the rain. Tanjiro suggests they check if it can still move, which is met by approval from the boy. As they pick it up, it remains stagnant for a few moments before suddenly shifting into a stance, much to Tanjiro's excitement. Kotetsu then fiercely orders him to train with the doll and becomes stronger than Muichiro with his aid, causes Tanjiro to be in sudden shock. As he tries to step away from the training, Kotetsu proposes a variety of insults Tanjiro could use once he becomes stronger than Muichiro. But Tanjiro refuses the thought and decided to train with the doll and become stronger. He begins to train with Yoichi Type 0, with Kotetsu's analytical skills and newfound motivation being used to excessively critique the demon slayer's movements. He declares that until Tanjiro can accomplish what he wants, he won't receive food. Kotetsu shows Tanjiro another method of adjusting the doll's movements through twisting its fingers, such that it'd coordinate with its user's weaknesses, and compares the actions to that of playing with a wooden puzzle box. After readjusting the doll, Tanjiro continues brutally training with it without food, water, or sleep under Kotetsu's direction, because the latter does not understand the limits of a human. Just as Tanjiro approaches the brink of death, analogous to nearly crossing the Sanzu River, he becomes capable of smelling the incoming movement of the doll and lands a hit on it, earning him his first meal. After gaining this ability to predict movements, Tanjiro continues to train it and improves his stamina and foresight. In the middle of a spar with the doll, Tanjiro's newly improved abilities grant him an opening to behead it. However, he hesitates mid-swing and worries about breaking the doll. Kotetsu yells at him to strike, reassuring him that he would be able to fix it. Internally, the young boy begs Tanjiro to not waver so that one day, he will become stronger than anyone else. With Kotetsu's approval obtained, Tanjiro succeeds in landing a blow to the doll's neck and breaks his training sword in the process. He apologizes to Kotetsu for the ruined sword and, after Kotetsu's sudden exclamation, Tanjiro turns to see a sword's hilt emerging from the doll's body where its head used to be.